good, cold, and very windy. 15, 20-mile-an-hour winds today. Ooh, Thursday. Yeah, I don't know what I look like. I don't give a shit what I look like, because I've been blowing. You can see the air hose is out. I've been blowing that off for about the last, I don't know, 3 hours. I got the corn head blown off. I mean, there's shit all over the driveway here, as you can see. Tweet. Yeah, corn head's blown off, washed, put away. I gotta go like one more time around this and give it a quick rinse, or not rinse, it's gonna get washed this weekend, but blow it off again. But anyways, some of you wanted to know how the combine worked, so if you don't care about that, just leave now. So this is for you non-farmers, and for the one person that said, well, call us fellow patriots, not non-farmers. I don't mean it in a negative way. You're non-farmers, so I try to explain things to you. But anyways, this big thing in the front's called a feeder house, which you don't usually see because that either the corn head or grain head is on. This chain here that's got all these paddles on them. Well, there you can see another one. Obviously I can't spin it by hand, but so your crop comes into here, goes through your feeder house, up into the machine. Now you can kind of tell by seeing the two, rounded things. This is a double rotor machine. So then the crop goes into the rotor. God, I've ate a lot of dust today. So anyways, here's your nickel tour. These are your rotors. This one here, I don't know, there's one over there. I suppose I could walk to the other side. And you got these things in there. I can kind of turn it a little by hand if I can get my fingers in there. Oh, well, no I can't. Those are RAS bars. Here's another one here. And there's other fingers that are on this rotor. Then these round things here, which I can take out, which I'm not gonna because they're very heavy. They're reason why this double barred platform thing is here, to let things down on so you don't smash your fingers. I just ran this thing to try and clean it out again. But you adjust your spacing between these bars and the RAS bars and stuff. They're on the rotor, like up in there. And that's how the thing cleans. So those rotors are turning at whatever, let's say 600 RPM, 600 revolutions per minute, doing corn. Those things are spinning. These brass bars or concave bars are, this is solid, this stays here. That's spinning around, and the corn, beans, whatever you're doing is threshing itself against crop on crop, basically. Yes, you get some crop on metal also, obviously, but you want as much crop on crop cleaning of the cob, like on corn, as you can. Then it falls down into here and starts heading that way, and all of this in here shakes. So it's shaking as it's going, and no, there's no way for me to run the machine and show you that. So, and it goes to the back, to those sieves back there. Let's go to the back. Oh, which I've showed you those before, I'm pretty sure. All right. So your crop gets onto these sieves, and it falls. You set these sieves to whatever you want them set at, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch, whatever, and it starts shaking down through. And there's a set of bottom sieves. I got some sieves in there that are bent. I'm gonna have to get in there and see if I can get some of them straightened up. And then it goes down through to a bottom sieve, which you can't see, which is underneath that top one. And eventually the crop ends up into this cross auger here, which brings it to this grain elevator here, which takes it up into the bin where you see that auger when you look out my back window of the cab. I call it the bubble up auger, that spits the stuff up and keeps filling your... Let me get down on the ground here and I'll give you a rough idea of what this looks like. It's just a chain with rubber paddles on it. Matter of fact, I just tightened it a few minutes ago because it was kind of loose. Those rubber paddles, that auger brings it out. Those rubber paddles catch it, carry it up that elevator and into the tank. And this is just the other side. So this is the other rotor on this side. But yeah, so that's how Big Bird works. That's your nickel tour of how Big Bird works. And obviously all the chaff and stuff gets shit out the back with corn, hits the spinners with beans. I unloosen this bolt and one on the other side and I slide that in, and that engages the knives, which sends all the bean trash out the back here, which you see it spreading out on the ground. Because when you're doing beans, you're running the whole crop through, the stems, everything. So corn, you're just running the ear through. All right, the fan, which you can't see, that got replaced. Those of you who watched that video saw when all these shields were off. So what that fan does, again, whatever your setting is, let's say 1,000 RPMs, that fan is blowing air from down there where it is up through the machine. So it's blowing air up through those sieves to blow the trash out the back here, because your kernels are heavier than the pieces of cob and, you know, the silks and whatever little bit of husk or something that's on. So that's what the purpose of the fan is. Yeah, somebody, when that fan went bad, somebody was like, well, you overloaded the fan with too much corn, that was your fault that it went bad. It's a fan, it blows air, okay? The corn never goes in the fan. The fan blows, think of it looking right here, the fan is blowing up through the machine at an angle like this, blowing the trash out the back. Yeah, no corn, no beans, no nothing ever get on the fan there, whoever that hater genius was. You ruined the fan, you overloaded it with corn. Yep, yeah. Do you turn a fan like that on and throw things into it, or do you just let it blow air out? Genius! Yeah. So that's the nickel tour as to how the combine works. So I'm not getting all in depth into too much because it's freaking cold out here and I still got more to blow off. So, but there you go. All right, call it a dime tour. I thought of something. See how I have that door open right now? That's the vertical auger. Can you imagine why they call that vertical? Yeah, because it faces up. So that goes up. There's your big auger that you see me dumping onto the grain cart with. So in the grain bin, you can see it right here. See that trough? And that trough, it goes all the way across. There's two augers in the grain bin that bring it this way into this sump. And that vertical auger, you can just see the flighting there. Takes it up. You can see where it hooks right there onto the unload auger, which you see me obviously turn out. So there, I forgot that part as to how the grain gets out of the combine. I mean, you've seen it obviously, but that's how it works. Two augers that are in the grain bin, taking it that way to that sump, which takes it up into the discharge auger that obviously you've seen me put out and in numerous times, filling the grain car, which is over there getting in line to be washed with the tractor. So there, your nickel tour turned into a dime tour. Doesn't that look lovely? Yeah, all that nice black shit. It's probably what my face looks like, but again, I don't care. I know I was blowing black snot. So, all right, I just finished blowing it off. That should shut off shortly. Thank you, good timing. So the nickel turned into a dime. We're gonna throw another nickel to it and make it a 15-cent tour. shit, that's a loud school bus. Wait till they're electric. They'll be so quiet. Yeah, Governor Hochul, you got your head up your ass. They'll work real well when it's 10 below zero, 20 below zero, snow. Yep, well, that's for another time. Maybe a rant later this video. But anyways, I figured I'd extend the tour because I know there'll be questions. Okay, the feeder house here, which takes the crop in, like I said, to the two rotors. All right, that's because this is a rotor machine. Those are twin 17-inch rotors. The bigger New Hollands have twin 22 inches in them. But a conventional machine that does not have rotors, remember the little things on the rotors that I called the rasp bars? Those little gnarly looking things that the crop rubs against and whatnot. So on a conventional machine, at the end of this feeder house, there'll be a drum going this way, a cylinder that turns at whatever speed. Again, when I tell you a speed like 600 RPM, 600 revolutions per minute, that doesn't mean that's what everybody's doing. But that cylinder going this way has those same rasp bars the whole length of it, numerous ones going around that drum, and those spin at that fast speed, and that's what shells your corn, beans, wheat, whatever, and then start shitting it through the machine to go drop through your sieves and for the fan to blow it out the back. Yeah, I thought I'd add that nickel onto the tour because this is how Big Bird works with twin rotors in it. A combine that doesn't have any, and there's combines that have single rotors in it, so there'll be just one in the center there, whatever diameter. I mean, I don't know what every manufacturer's cylinder rotor sizes are, so, but yeah, that's the difference. With a rotor, everything's going that way as far as what's threshing. With a conventional, it's this way, rolling like this as the feeder house chain feeds it to it and starts threshing it. So there you go. We went from a nickel to a dime to 15 cents. All right, Big Bird is back in the shop. So I'm going to do things a little different this year. I put these shields back on because it's not that dirty in there. And I didn't show it, but you got all your electrical and hydraulic shit in there. Yeah, I'm not gonna wash that stuff this year. Same with this side. I already greased the grease fittings that were in there. Put my lithium grease on the chain, but you got your belt and all that in there. I don't know. I'm just not doing it the way I always did before. Hang on. Trying to open this side. It's a two-handed project. All right, I don't know how well you can see because it's kind of dark in here, but same with this side. I'm not sure I'm going to wash a lot of this inner part. This up here pisses me off a little. Look at the grease splatter. Yeah, because there's a thing in the cab that comes on like every 10 hours. That you got to push the button and it automatically, these are like snowmobile clutches for anybody that, if you don't know about snowmobiles, then you won't understand, but it opens and closes these sheaves to spread the grease. Well, engineering genius that they are, yeah, you spread the grease on the inside of the machine too. So might try to get some of that, I don't know, but I just don't want to soak all the belts and pulleys and electrical shit this year like I have. I go overboard sometimes when it comes to washing shit. The outside, yeah, that definitely needs to be washed. So, but we're gonna avoid doing some of the inside, the outer skins. I might wash these off. They're kind of shitty. I'll probably wash this area off where the sump is that I showed you that goes up to the auger. We'll put the auger out, wash that. Wash this off so I can lithium grease the chain. But like all of the, that electric components and all that stuff, and all the hydraulic stuff and the belts and, you know, all this happy horse shit up here that goes to the, you know, wonderful exhaust that you can stick your face behind and breathe cleaner air coming out of the exhaust and what goes into the machine. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Even old Billy Gates the other day had to say, well, maybe the climate disaster isn't as bad as we thought. You think, Bill? Because I can guarantee you, and I think any other farmer that deals with a machine that's got the regen exhausts and DEF, you know, the diesel exhaust fluid and all that, that I'll bet you Big Bird burns at least 10 to 15% more fuel having all that horse shit on than a machine that doesn't have it. So let's burn more fuel to help the atmosphere, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Brought the pallet of DEF over and left the forks right there. But yeah, you can see the outside definitely needs to be clean. So, and then I'll get it all greased and pack it away. Oh shit, I gotta get the lawnmowers out, get them blown off, all the grass. Tomorrow's another day. I'm getting tired. So I did have one person ask to do a video, which I'm not going to do an in-depth whole video, on the different kinds of grain heads, like a drape. Explain what a draper is. Okay, I got to try and get back here. All right, and what a flex head is. Well, this is a flex head, and it's dark back here, I know. But so this whole cutter bar flexes with the ground like this, you know, if the ground's uneven or if I hit a rock and it goes over or whatever. And this is an auger style with all the fingers that grab the crop as the auger's taking it to the center. See the big opening, which takes it into that feeder house. Hooey, on the front of the combine. A draper head just has a cutter bar just like this. Obviously, they all have to have a cutter bar to cut the beans, wheat, whatever off. But then instead of having this auger, there's just a belt that runs it to the center, and a belt on that end that runs it to the center, and then a belt that feeds it into the feeder house. Oh, hang on. That's a tight fit for a fat guy. It feeds it into the feeder house. So for the person that asked, that's, you know, a flex head flexes. It does what it says. They call this a super flex head, whatever. You know, that's like all natural and whatever, you know. Buy our meat, it's all natural. Buy our whatever, chicken, no antibiotics. Yeah, we've had that discussion before. No shit, because you can't ship milk or any kind of meat product that has the antibiotics. But now I'm squirreling, but it's been a long day. But that kind of thing pisses me off, so that's why I squirrel on it. You know, it's like when I had cows in that barn over there for years. If a cow got sick, guess what? I gave it antibiotics, and I dumped its milk. It didn't go into the tank. If the antibiotics said you had to hold the milk for 5 days, you dumped it for 5 days. Then you tested it. If the antibiotics were out of it, the milk went back in. So if your kid gets sick and you take him to the doctor and they say, well, we need to put your kid on antibiotics, are you going to say no because you want your kid to be all natural? I mean, holy shit. Labeling. It's clickbait bullshit, you know. This product has no antibiotics. Well, no shit. It can't have. Morons. Oh, like I said, I squirrel. So here's your one more thing. I don't know. I haven't even thought of one. Push on the Grumpy Farmer Apparel link. Get your Grumpy Farmer apparel. And I don't know what the next video will be. Whether it's worth, you know, filming, washing shit. That's just boring. So, the hunting season's right around the corner. So, you know what? I do have a quick second more thing for you. Because I just did it. Google up, or even go on YouTube, how a combine works. There's some pretty nifty, I don't know if you want to call it AI, 3D, whatever, but it's like a cartoon. Is that a good way to describe it? but not really a cartoon. I don't know. But there's some nifty videos you can see where it like shows you the inner workings of a combine, how it goes through the combine. So do that. That'll give, because it's not like I can put a camera inside the machine when it's running. That probably wouldn't fare well for pieces of the machine or the camera. So do that and that'll give you an idea. All right, now I'm out. So I'm going to give you a third more thing before it gets dark here and I shut things up, go to the house, because I made the mistake of sitting down for a minute and going through the video that's out right now and reading some new comments and commenting back to people. It's the We're Side Hilling video. I should have looked to see what your name was and remembered it so I could say it, but I don't. But somebody that, oh, Grumpy, you should be thankful you got that Canadian bean market being in New York so close to Canada, because there's beans still standing in the field in Virginia because there's just no export market for them. You know what? Shut the hell up, you idiots that don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. You know, oh, that won't get me any good ads in this video for, you know, now that I'm monetized, because I just called you an idiot and told you to shut the hell up because you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground, but I really don't care what ads I get. So, and for those of you that get pissed off because, you know, oh, you got ads, no, I'm not watching anymore. You don't have to announce you're leaving. Just go. I don't give a shit if you haven't figured that out yet. But enough of the bullshit, people, of thinking that China is the only market for soybeans. Holy shit. There's still beans standing here in New York because the weather's turned kind of shitty and guys haven't got to them. But nobody would have planted a crop this spring if they didn't think they could get it off and sold this fall. Because guess what? China wasn't buying beans this spring neither, genius. Holy shit, you people just need to get the fuck down off your high horse of hating Trump and, you know, China is the only market for soybeans. First of all, there's supposedly a deal and China's going to start buying soybeans. But, I mean, it is such bullshit that, oh, the crop's still standing in Virginia. Well, Virginia just voted in a whole shitload of Democrat idiots to run their state to start with. So what's that say about Virginia? Isn't that where the attorney general that actually in text messages said that he wanted to kill Republicans and their children, but he got elected? Wasn't that Virginia? I think it was. Yeah. Great, huh? But this bullshit of, oh, the crop's still in the field, because I could drive you around right now because I know one farmer, because a buddy of mine that works for him just texted me a little while ago, they're doing beans today. They're probably 17, 18% beans because it rained like a bastard last night. But it's a somewhat decent day with some wind, and they need to get them off. The noise you hear in the background is the neighbor farmer down the road here doing corn, because tomorrow it's going to rain again. So enough of the bullshit of crops in the field still because there's just no market. You're idiots.